Hi everyone, I'm grade 8. So, in a few minutes, we'll start with our reading. Now, I'd just like to request that each one of you should participate by writing the literature choice in every item that I'm going to provide. Okay? Please also chat your other classmates who are not yet here and type the new session. Oh, do you hear me now? Mahina pa rin yung audio. Okay, sige. I'll just read it.
How about now? Okay na po ang audio ko, grade 8. Hi, grade 8. Okay. So I guess we're 93. We can start with our review. So as what I was saying, before I reveal the answer, I encourage you to write the letter of your choice as your answer. It doesn't matter whether you get the correct answer as long as you participate and you know what's the correct answer whenever your answer is wrong. Okay, start. Let's start. Okay. Do you see what's on my screen now? Oh, wait. Wait. Stop sharing. Eh, Wait, wait lang. Okay. For a while, guys, ha. I'll try to share again. Oh, but it's not presenting. Wait, wait, wait. Uh-huh. Window. Wait. Okay. I'll just make it larger. Okay. Okay. Oh, you have the answer already. Guys, do you hear me? Naririnig ba yung audio ko? Clear ba yung audio ko? Okay, okay. Clear ang audio ko ha. So I'll start working on the review now. So for number one, majority has the answer already and it's A. So which among the expressions is is a perfect square trinomial? So recalling a perfect square trinomial, so definitely it has three terms. That's why it's called as trinomial. And usually two among the three terms of the trinomial have or are perfect square, and they are usually placed as the first and the last terms. So a perfect square trinomial, of course we know how to describe a perfect square coefficient. So the result of squaring an expression is a perfect square expression. For example, we square 1, we square 2, we square 3, and 4. So the result is a perfect square expression. So everything on the right side are perfect square expressions. So these are perfect square expressions. As regards to algebraic expression, so everything which is being squared will be a perfect square trinomial. So your idea is considering the exponent of an algebraic expression. So the exponent must be even numbers. So you said A, you're correct because the first and the last terms here are perfect square, but the middle term is actually the product on the square root of the first and the last terms times 2. So we know that the square root of 49 y squared is 7y and the square root of 1 is 1. So as we work on the product of the two and then we multiply this by 2, the result must be the middle term regardless of the sign. So definitely this is the correct answer. Now in C, guys, the first and the last terms are perfect square expressions, but the middle term, the square root of the first and the last term times 2 is not the middle term. Okay? So there's no E here, guys. So until D na lang tayo. Hindi na ako nag-EE. No? So there's an option here na all of the above. So definitely this is wrong. Okay? And B is not correct, though the first and the last terms here are perfect squares. But when you get the square root of the two, you multiply the first and the last terms, and then you multiply that by 2, it's not 18m. So the answer is letter A. Everybody got the correct answer, I guess. Very good, grade 8. For number 2, you already have the answer, and all of you have encoded D. So there's B. Let's check. Oh, sige, shout out kay Kari. 100 viewers giveaway, ma'am. Okay. So, nagtatalo, merong may sagot na D, may sagot na B for number 2. Let's find out, guys. Supply the missing term. So, the left side of the equation is the square of binomial. So, recalling squaring a binomial, so we follow this pattern, right? So the square of binomial is always the square of the first term plus or minus, depending on the sign of the binomial, twice the product of the first and the second term plus the square. So this is the pattern that we're going to follow for us to supply the missing term. And it's the missing middle term which is missing. So we have to consider the sign also. Okay. So this is 2 times the first term times the second term. So this is 2 times 2x times 7. So this is minus 28x. And the answer is D. So guys, do not forget to double the product of the first and the last terms as the middle term. for the square of binomial. So otherwise, you will be marked wrong. Okay? Okay, minus 28x ang sagot. Di po siya. Okay, that's correct dyan. Okay, sige. Very good, grade 8. Sige. Sa 3 muna tayo ha, para sabay-sabay tayo. One of the factors of 50 plus 20x squared plus 2x, is to, one of the factors of 50x cubed, may 50x cubed dito mga anak. This is 50x cubed plus 20x squared plus 2x is, okay. So, we're asked to work on one of the factors, take note. And in the first quarter, I was just able to discuss with you factoring using the GCF and factoring perfect square trinomial. Definitely, guys, this is not a perfect square trinomial. So, as what you have learned, we're going to we're going to work on the GCF first. So, working on the GCF is considering the greatest common factor among the three terms here. And you will agree that the greatest common factor should be 2 and then 2 and then x. So, this is the GCF. Now, you don't need to proceed to really factoring this completely. Ano yung mga sagot nyo, anak? 1 and 2 lang po nakikita. Oh. Anong 1 and 2 lang? Yeah, 1 and 2 lang. 3. Really? Okay, wait. Thank you. I'll stop sharing. Okay. Mhm. Do you see number 3 and 4 now? Wait. Ako pa lang pala yung nakikita niyo 'no. I don't know what's happening, pero sige iisa-isahin na lang natin. Uh-huh. Do you see number 3 now? Nasa 3 na ba tayo? Okay, sige. Mag-stop stop present ako. Siguro. Okay, sandali, okey. Pero yung annotation ko hindi niyo nakikita 'no? Sige. Sige. I'll just proceed. So, one of the factors or the GCF for number 3. So the question for 3 is one of the factors of 50x cubed plus 20x squared plus 2x is, so one of the factors is the GCF 2x. Okay? So we have, as we divide the GCF by the given trinomial here, so the result is the other factor. So as we divide 50x cubed, for instance, by 2x, we'll have 25x squared. And then we divide 20x squared by 2x, we'll have 10x. And then we divide 2x by 2x, it's 1. Though, okay, though the second factor is still factorable. Okay. You write your answer, guys. The second factor is factorable. There's this 2x as one of the options, no? Um, in number 3, we're asked to work on one of the factors of this trinomial, and the trinomial is 50x cubed. So, I added x cubed here kasi 50 lang yung nakalagay sa screen, no? It has to be 50x cubed for the first term, and then plus 20x squared plus 2x. Now, I've just discussed with you on factoring, yung perfect square trinomial and factoring using the GCF. Okay? Since the trinomial is not a perfect square trinomial, the best thing that we can do is to work on the GCF. And the GCF for the trinomial and the GCF for the trinomial is 2x. Now, as we divide this trinomial by 2x, we'll get 25x squared plus 10x plus 1. This is still factorable, but look at the choices, class. A, B, C, D. Okay? So, we can proceed factoring the second factor, and this is a perfect square trinomial, and the factor for this perfect square trinomial is the square root of 25x squared and 1. So, we have square root of 25x squared is 5x, and then this is positive, so square root of 1 is 1, quantity squared. So there's no 5x plus 1 option here, but there's this 2x, so the answer must be letter C. Okay? Parang na-stuck tayo. Paki-type nga yung hi, hi. Kung mag-hi nga guys, hi lang. Ayun, ayun. Sige. Para ma-feel ko that you're there. Okay, okay. What's your answer for 3? Do you agree that it's letter C? Kasi letter A is not a possible factor since the middle term of the second factor there is, I mean, the sign here is positive. Okay. So, number 3 is letter C. Yes. Okay. So, it's C, guys, ha? It's not A because 5x minus 1 is not a factor for this, no? As we move out GCF for this trinomial, the GCF is 2x. Okay? And then, x minus 10 definitely is not a factor. 10x as well. So, it has to be 2x. Okay? For number 4, sige, you start working on number 4. I understand yung sincerity, meron kayong, ano no, yung honesty, meron kayong long test ng 3:30 no, sa BMS. Siguro mga 3:25 puwede na kayong mag-leave dito. I guess matatapos naman tayo before 3:30. Pero I want loyalty and sincerity to stay with me. Pero honesty, stay with me ha, kasi mamaya pa naman 3:30 matatapos naman tayo until, um, before 3:30. That's very much sure na matatapos tayo. Para lang matapos yung review natin. Okay, so letter D daw yung answer. Let's find out. So cube of binomial, x plus y, okay, cube. So cube of binomial is obtained by working on the cube of the first term. Tapos plus or minus thrice the square of the first term times the second term. Plus thrice the first term times the square of the second term minus plus or minus rather cube of y cube. Now, if the operation of the binomial is subtraction. The middle term and the last term will be a minus sign. So some of you answered D. Let's find out. So the cube of 3x is 27x cubed, while 3 times the square of 3. So square of 3 is 9 times 3, 'di ba? So that's 27 times negative 1. So this is minus 27x squared. And then 3 times the first term. So that's 9x times the square of negative 1. So this is plus 9x plus 1. Okay? So, no, no, no. This is minus, no? Minus 1. You are correct. It's letter D. Very good. Sige, so mag-stop sharing ako, 'di ba? And then I'll go back dito and then I'll share again, and then here, no, 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 wait. Okay, mali. I'll stop sharing. Nagloloko kasi siya eh. Sandali ah. Ah, okay. Okay. Nagagalaw ba 'to? Hindi 'no? Mhm. Wait lang, baka puwede dito. Oh, no. Wait lang, ah. Okay, for number 4, supply the missing term. So it's the square of trinomial, okay? So the square of trinomial is obtained by working on the square of the first 3 terms, and then twice the product of the first and the second term, plus twice the product of the first and the last term, plus twice the product of the second and the last term. In here, the first 3 terms are asked, no? So we have to work on the square of the first 3 terms. So this is the square of 4a, so we have 16a squared. The square of 3b, so we have 9b squared. The square of 2, 4. So we have a for number 4. Okay, correct. Now for number 5, so this is the product on the sum and difference of the same 2 terms. Mag-chat lang kayo diyan, mag-type lang kayo kung may tanong kayo ha. So here, we follow this pattern, x plus y quantity, x minus y. is equal to the square of the first term always minus the square of the last term. So this is the square of the first term, x squared, minus the square of 7, 49. So the answer must be letter C. Very good. Okay. Sige. So number 6 na tayo, no? 6, 7. Okay. So for number 6, lagay niyo yung number anak nung ano nyo, no? Number 6 na tayo. Okay. For number 6, this is special case on the product of binomial and trinomial. Okay. So you have 6 here. So the product, special case of the product of binomial and trinomial. So we just work on the cube of each term of the binomial. So we'll work on the cube of the first term. So this is 8x cubed. And then we consider the sign of the given binomial minus the cube of 5. So that's 125. So our answer is letter C. Correct. Okay. Okay, good, good. For number 7, it's the same here, no? It's the special case on the product of binomial and trinomial. Again, we'll work on the cube of 7y, and that's 343 y cube minus cube of 4. So cube of 4 is 64. So this is 343 y cube minus 64. And the correct answer is A. Okay, very good. Oh, nabaliktad yung 9. Okay, for number 8, supply the missing term. Okay? So, I'll rewrite this number 9 na lang. Supply the missing term. We have cube of binomial. And the second term is as, no, for number 8. So, again, cube of binomial is equal to cube of the first term plus minus thrice the square of the first term times the second term plus thrice the first term times the square of the last term plus minus the cube. Since we're asked to work on the second term only, so no need for us to finish everything since it's provided here, no? So we just have to work on the second term. And since this is a minus sign, so we expect that the middle term is a minus sign. So we are looking for option C or D only for number 8, no? Okay. So, may kulang lang tayo dito 'no, nagkaroon lang ng typo error. This is 125n squared for the first term, And then the second term should be minus. So it's either C or D. Okay. So it has to be either C or D. So what we're going to do is to work on 3 times the square of 5n times negative 7. So this is equal to 3 times 25 times 7. And it's 5 to 5. So it has to be letter C. Correct. Okay. Yung number 9, supply the missing term. So this is quantity 4k minus 5 squared. So may sagot na sa first term. So 16k squared yung first term. Ang nawawala is yung middle term and then last term is 25. Okay? So what is the square of 4k minus 5? And yung choices kasi is CA is negative 20k, B is positive 20k, and then C is negative 40k, and then D is 40 plus 40k. So take note that the middle term is actually the product of the first and the last terms times 2. So since this is negative, negative din ito. So it's either A or C is the answer for 9. And the correct answer should be letter C. Correct, no? Minus 40k. Kasi we have to double whatever the product of the first and the last term. Okay. Okay. 304. Okay. Number 10 na tayo guys ha. I hope nakikita yung screen for number 10. Okay. So, supply the missing term again. So, it's the square of trinomial. And the missing term is the first term. So, what we will just do is to square 3a. And what's the square of 3a? So, what's your answer for number 10? Okay. Ang square ni 3a is 9a squared. So, the answer must be letter B for number 10, guys. Okay, very good. And then number 11, factor completely. So, again, this trinomial is not a perfect square trinomial, so we have to identify the GCF. Okay? So, the GCF here is a constant value since there's no variable for the third term here. No? 11 na tayo. So, the GCF would be, I guess, oh, this is a perfect square trinomial. Sorry. No need for us to work on the GCF. No? So, why is it perfect square trinomial? The first and the last terms are perfect square. And the factors are just the square root of 64m squared. So, the square root of 64m squared is 8m. And the square root of 25 is 5. So, we have um, quantity 8m plus 5 quantity squared, no? So we have letter B, correct? Okay. So ganito yung mga question, no, na lalabas sa long test ninyo. Okay? So number 12 na tayo, ano? Okay. Factor completely again. I'll give you time to work on number 12. So this is not a perfect square trinomial, so you have to work on the GCF. And the GCF is 10D. So if the GCF is 10D, the other factor is obtained by dividing all of these terms by the GCF 10D. So when we divide 40D cubed, so it's either C or D, no? Kasi yung one of the factors is 10D. Tama? Okay. But this is more likely the answer. Let's just verify if the answer is D, kasi this is not yet the second factor here is still factorable, 'di ba? Sabi natin the instruction is you have to factor completely, so everything has to be factored out. Now, let's just find out if what will be the factor as we divide each term here by 10d. So 40d cubed divided by 10d, we have 4d squared. And then negative 40d squared divided by 10d, we have minus 4d. And then 10d divided by 10d is 1. So the other factor is actually 4d squared minus 4d plus 1. But this is still factorable since this is a perfect square trinomial, and letter D must be the correct answer. As what I told you, letter C are the correct factors, but the second factor for option D, guys, is still factorable. And the factors for the second factor of option D is actually the second factor of D here. So D must be the correct answer instead. Okay? Yes, it's letter D. For number 13, it's still factoring completely, and this is a perfect square trinomial. So we'll just have to work on the square root of 36x squared. And the square root of 36x squared is 6x, while the square root of 1 is 1. So the factor must be the square root of this separate by whatsoever the sign of the middle term of the trinomial. So this is quantity 6x plus 1 squared. And what's the answer for 13? Yes, it's letter A. Very good. Okay, malapit na. We only have 4 items left. 4 items na lang tayo, guys. Tapos meron pa akong mga few reminders na lang. Um, oh, wait. 12:13 pa rin eh. Okay. Nakakainis, bumabaliktad siya. Okay. Let's just work on number 14. Let's skip number 15 kasi baliktad ang hirap intindihin. Okay, factor completely for number 14. Um, this is a perfect square trinomial. Okay? So, we'll just work on the square root of 9p squared plus the square root of 4q squared, quantity squared. So, that will be the factors. So, square root of 9p squared class is 3p. And then, the middle term of this trinomial is plus. We'll consider the sign. And then, square root of 4q squared. So, we have 2q. And then, quantity squared. So, it's letter A, correct. Now, I want you to concentrate on factoring, ha? As what I told you, when factoring, we work backwards. So, special product is easier than factoring. So because of how factoring is done, no? Although special product is of course related with factoring, if you know the patterns for special products, you just have to reverse the equation and you are working on factoring. So magna number 16 na tayo. Okay, for number 16 and 17. Oh, wait. Ay, nako. Nababaliktad talaga siya. Anyway, yung number 16 naman ay similar din sa 17. Ibang problem lang. So, mag-16 na lang tayo. Okay. So, for 16, as what I told you, si 17, problem 17 is similar with 16, no? So, this is again, product on the sum and difference of the same two terms. Although you might be wondering again why we consider that as product on the sum and difference of the same binomial. Though we have three terms here, you have to note, guys, that since this expression 3j plus 7k on both factors are placed inside the parentheses, then they are considered as one term or monomial. So that would qualify to working on the product on the sum and difference of the same two terms. So we just have to work on the square of 3j plus 7k minus the square of 1. So we're going to work on the square of 3j plus 7k. So we have 9j squared, square of 3j, plus twice the product of 3j and 7k. So we have 42jk. And then square of 7k, 49k squared, minus 1. So it has to be option B. Very good. Okay. So, doon na tayo sa 18 and 19. I hope wala nang mabaliktad do'n. And then few reminders lang ha, wala mo nang aalis. Okay. Oo. Wait. Ayun, nabaliktad din siya. So, we'll only work on one item na lang. Okay. So, cube of binomial. So, I'll give you a few minutes to work on Lawrence. Okay. But did you get it correctly, Lawrence, although you have a different approach in solving for the previous problem? Tama rin yung naging sagot mo? Lawrence? Now, whatsoever is your solution, as long as you'll get the correct answer, that would be fine, no? And if your solution is like easier, of course, you can use that solution. Our goal is to come up with the same correct answer, no? Okay. Sige. 18 tayo. So for number 18, again, it's the cube of binomial. So the cube of 6k is 216k cube. And then this is minus. So minus yung middle term natin. Okay. So this is 3 times the square of 6. So the square of 6 is 36 times 3 times 5. So basically 36 times 15. Okay? And it's minus 540. So k must be squared and then plus 3 times 6 times the square of negative 5. So this is 25 times 18. So it's 450 k minus the cube of 5. So it has to be letter C. Okay, sige. Okay. Okay. Now, while we are working on the last part of this review for a while, I want you to type again your name and then type present bago umalis. And listen for my announcements. So your long test will be held on Friday. So for honesty, it's 11:30 to 12:30, loyalty 12:30 to 1:30, and then 1:30 to 2:30 for sincerity. So 3:30 later, it's honesty who will take the long test in BMS, and then sincerity 4:30 to 5:30. Tomorrow will be loyalty taking the long test for BMS. No? For BMS, you just have to review for 4 lessons, no? Lessons 1 to 4. But in math, you will review lessons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So lesson 6 is about factoring, GCF, and polynomials. So evenly distributed yung topic for long test in math. So I hope this review has helped you a lot, and you're able to understand whatever we have discussed here, and I'd like to thank you for your active participation. So don't forget to say present before you leave. Okay, so thank you for joining grade 8. So I'm hoping for a good result of your long test. Okay, thank you guys. Sige, bye. I will end the broadcast now. Bye. Let's just communicate via GC. Bye bye for now.